Hey, cool, we're there. We've fixed our technical issues. So,
Do we get any audience for these?
do
Has
we get any
anyone been-
audience?
Has anyone been watching?
We have 2 people watching now, apparently, which is pretty cool.
Excellent.
Which is pretty
I
cool.
won't whip it out.
Why?
Yeah, surely that's videos, isn't it?
Twitch has still insisted on putting the wrong title for this, though, because we're not
What
playing.
are we playing today?
We're still playing Call of Cthulhu, but one of the other groups. We're not playing Death on the Post. We are playing Horror of the Glen.
The Witcher.
I was about to say, we're not playing The Witcher again.
We're not playing The Witcher again, at least. That's good. Done. Cool. There we go. Who wants to give us a bit of a recap of where we got to last time?
We were at a house. A spooky house.
We were at a
Yes,
house.
yeah. You've gone
Spooky house with coffins.
the McMorton family mansion, I believe it is. The ruins of the McMorton family mansion.
That's right.
There's been gruesome murder.
But before that, was it last session we went to see some people went to see the coroner? Was that the session before?
That might have been the session.
I think at
before
the
even.
start of last session, I think at the start of last session we saw the coroner, and then we went to the house, and then I can't remember whether at the end of the session we'd left the house or whether we were still at the house at the end of the session.
Yeah, more exploring waiting to happen.
Pretty sure
Found coffins, stone coffins.
We also had a chat to some of the locals and bought an exorbitant amount of wine.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
We've got a new best friend in the pub.
Yeah.
And I think you talked to the minister.
Sorry, what did you
Yes.
say there, Kath?
I think these guys talked to the minister.
Oh yes. Yeah, they did speak to the minister.
It's not us.
Nick, you look like you were going to say something.
No, sorry, I'm chewing.
Oh, okay, cool, fine. Sorry, I didn't catch that, Nick. I didn't pick that up.
He's chewing.
He's just chewing, that's fine. I thought you were then saying something afterwards. Yes, you were investigating a house. The manor, which was the location of a murder. A murder most foul, a very nasty murder. And you were investigating this manor house, now long abandoned. Where had you got to? You were inspecting the first floor, weren't you? And you had got to... You've been through the derelict kitchen.
I think we pretty much covered the first floor and the tomb.
Yeah, we crept into the crypt.
Or the crypt, sorry.
Yeah. We didn't go upstairs at all, did we?
Yeah, you explored the
No, I don't
ground
think
floor.
so.
Yeah, I was going to say shame on you for calling it the first floor.
I'm going to be an ass about it, but
So I've been watching a lot of American TV recently. I do apologise.
Chris, can you turn your volume down a smidge, just a little bit?
Absolutely.
Cheers.
We can turn him down.
How's that?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's much better. Thank you.
Sweet.
So you are stood. You just walked into the room with the coffins, yeah.
I
So
think we've done a little bit of checking out the coffins.
We'd seen the coffins, checked them out for a bit, and then went down to the crypt because we were wondering if the coffins are here, what's up with the crypt?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the crypt was the last thing we checked out before we finished the session.
That's right, that's right. Where's the stuff for the crypt? For the basement, I should say. Crypt is a very grand term for what it is.
I thought it was actually like an external building, like an actual family crypt with spaces for coffins, right?
Oh yes,
that's the impression I got.
You're absolutely right. That's why I can't find it. I'm looking for the information in the section that is the house, and that's not where it is. Yeah, it's a separate section which you've just gone into, and it was completely empty. There were spaces. there were recesses for where there would be coffins, and now there are none. It's all coming back to me now.
All that remains is spoopiness.
All that remains is spoopiness. I believe you explored this crypt to its fullest extent. It's not particularly large. You can walk in and walk to the end, and every recess is empty. What would you like to do?
Yeah, as far as I remember, it was just like going in, it's empty, we came back out again,
Yeah.
and then that's it. What time is it?
You went. What time did you go there? You done some stuff in the town in the morning. So it's probably mid-afternoonish now.
And I think Bill kind of ended up spending quite a long time doing something. I think 'cause you biffed a roll, didn't you? And ended up. I can't remember what it was you were trying to do, but
I think I was trying to discover more from the crime scene than is available in the 1920s.
You were certainly having a look around, and it's now a few days since the crime itself, and so there was blood, or like the stain of blood on the area, you found some very large footsteps. Not footsteps, obviously. Imprints in the ground.
Tracks.
Yes, that's what you'd found there. When you were inside, you were following footsteps of people in the dust, and those continued. I believe those continued up the stairs, certainly past where you were.
Well, I do. I'd say, shall we take a look upstairs, lords and ladies?
Well, come on then.
lead on.
Ridley springs on and enthusiastically ahead.
Sorry, Kath, what was that?
Well, come on then, and Miss Ridley bounds enthusiastically ahead.
Ah, cool. As you follow the footprints in the dust up the main staircase, as you walk up, you see them coming back down again as well. And as you get about halfway up, you see that that's not someone coming up, going around the house and coming back down. They go halfway up the stairs, stop, and come back down. And as you get to that point, you realize why. At the top of the stairs, at the far wall, is a pretty grotesque statue. It depicts a roughly humanoid creature, about 7 foot in height, but with the head of a goat, cloven hooves. The body is very obviously female, and it's kind of not standing and not sitting, but like reclining a little bit. And it has cloven feet, and its hands are clawed, and it's got goat horns, and a whole goat's head.
Can I roll to see if I know what this Baphomet dude is?
You can.
House of the devil.
Sorry, Kath, I didn't catch that.
I don't know if we're coming through at all.
Nick, are you able to either mute yourself or roll further away from the microphone, because that's all getting picked up by the mic?
Sorry, yeah, so I was just sorting out the dice.
That's all right. Yeah, no worries. That's absolutely fine.
Well, I think we found out why the villagers think this house is of the devil. Reminds me of a dancer I once knew.
Everyone is everyone there on the staircase?
Yes, I would be.
Yes, I probably recoiled a bit. I was like, good.
Yeah, everyone can take a sanity check, actually, because it is quite upsetting.
Right.
That's a pass from me.
So one would be. Oh, I think we've got the same, don't we?
You have 80.
Well, as my sheet was up first, that will be me.
I have 80.
I passed by the skin of my teeth. I'm on 70.
Nice.
This passed quite comfortably.
Cool. If everyone
Yeah.
passes, then there's no sanity loss. Excuse me, but you can obviously choose to be as shocked as you like. It's a very shocking thing to see.
Not today, Satan.
What sort of condition is the statue in? Does it appear damaged and old and worn? Or?
It doesn't appear damaged. It appears to be made of a darkish material. It could either be stone or metal. You're not really sure without examining it a little bit closer. Nick, what role did you want to take?
I'm guessing this would be a cult, right?
You can roll a cult if you would like.
Okay, I will go with that. I rolled a 56 and I have 50 in a cult, so I think I'm going to burn luck down to get to
Do it.
Get to a pass.
Do it. Do it.
Oh, damn. Burning those luck points.
You don't need them. What else would you need them for? Oh, wait.
Are you feeling lucky? How about no?
Okay, I've burned 6 luck points,
Nice.
taking me down to 32.
So in many ways, it's a very classical depiction of Satan. The main areas where it deviates is it's very unusual for Satan to be depicted as a woman, as being like a female body. Other than that, it's pretty classical. The cloven feet. The clawed hands are a little unusual. Almost always, it's when depicted in this form, it's a humanoid. It's a human body and a ram's head or goat's head. So that's a little unusual, and it's certainly very interesting from an occult perspective, for that reason.
I'd like to roll a spot hidden. I'm going to do that.
Are you going up to it and like inspecting it and looking around?
Yes, I mainly am looking for. I want to see because it's at the top of the stairs, right?
Yeah. So it's like
is
it's
it
not
blocking the stairs?
So sorry, no, it's not blocking the staircase. As you get up to the top of the stairs, there's like a landing, and it's at the back of the wall, or it's on the back wall
Okay.
of that. Sorry, that's a bad description from myself.
Sure, no, that's fine. In which case, I don't think I would go for a spot hidden then. I was mainly, if it was blocking the stairs, I wanted to see how long it had been there for
Sure.
or whatever. But if it's in a what looks like a natural alcove, I don't think I will spot.
Yeah,
it.
like it.
I don't
If
think
you
I would go for
wanted
that.
to decorate a place in a Satanist way, like it looks like a normal decoration, it wouldn't be unusual to have another statue in that place.
Yeah, it's in like a little alcove or something.
Yeah, yeah.
I would certainly
So
call it.
I will say on
Go on, Rich.
No, I was just doing a bit of banter. Go ahead.
I was just about to, after Bill's exclamation of Jesus Christ, I was step and say, not quite. It's a fairly non-standard depiction of Satan, but pretty unmistakably him down the stairs. Maybe the Reverend wasn't so far off the truth.
Well, at least we know where the rumours have come from. I don't know why they wouldn't just come out and say it.
I would certainly call it intrusive and in rather poor taste. So I do see the resemblance to that dancer you mentioned. But shall we continue our ascent?
Of course. Don't let a little decor put us off.
Cool.
Carries
Have
on
you
up
got a
the
map
stairs
of
quite
the?
enthusiastically.
Yeah, I'm just going to drop it into the chat. Give me 2 secs.
Does it look like there's like in front of the statue? Does it have any kind of like, I don't know, little offering bowls or something, or does it look like it's just decoration rather than like a votive offering place?
Yeah,
Does it
no,
have a
there's
plaque
no kind of signs of. Sorry, Rich, go on.
Does it have a plaque with the name of the artist anywhere on it?
It doesn't actually.
It's actually a Da Vinci.
That would make it exceptionally valuable.
Yeah, actually,
unfortunately,
I think Bill's intrigued. I wonder how long this has been here for. What was the? There was a family member who went away and then returned, and then that seems to be when all the spooky shit started going down. What was the date of that again? Did anyone write that down?
100 years ago or something, I think.
Yeah, it was something like a century, wasn't it?
Yeah, not recent.
Yeah, it was quite a long time. Let me pull up the actual timeline for you.
Yeah, I think I want to try and I guess it would be a spot hidden, but I want to try and see how long the statue has been there for, whether it's as old as the house or whether it's more recent.
So Alex McMahon set out in 1807, and he returned home in 1810.
Cool.
Uh,
Is spot hidden the one you want for that, Adam? If I'm trying to figure out how old it is.
Archaeology?
It would. Are you trying to figure out how old the statue is?
History?
I guess no. I'm not trying to figure out how old the statue is. I'm trying to figure out how long it has been in place for.
You're talking about the difference between 100 years and 120 years, which is near impossible to tell, like how long something's been in a place for.
Where isn't the house much older than that? I thought.
I mean, the house is older, so it's. But you, so even if the house is like 200 years old, like the effect that the statue has on the surrounding environment doesn't change if it's been there 100 years or 200 years.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
If it was archaeology, we'd have to dig a hole and bury it and then dig it up again.
Yeah, the archaeology, if
Yeah.
it was buried, would be like you check the dirt around it and stuff, and if there was.
I'm trying to figure out if there's a role I can make to try and see whether this would have been installed around the time of Alex McMahon's return, or whether it has been a part of the house before that. But I don't suppose there's a way of finding that out.
It's so
Or
what
rolling for that.
you can see that it's not like. It's definitely a size that it could be transported. Like it's not part of the wall, and it's not part of the structure. It wasn't built in with the house. You certainly could have had it shipped in. But there's basically no way to tell.
Sure. In which case, I simply wonder aloud. Oh, I wonder how long this has been here for. But
the way
shall we? Let's.
Yeah, the only way you'd be able to date when it was brought is if you find some kind of like purchase documentation, paperwork stuff. Really.
Yeah, some sort of receipt or bill of ownership or whatever.
Mr. McLeod didn't mention it when we were talking at the police station. You'd think it would be rather a notable point.
The poor boy was rather addled, wasn't he? And perhaps it was rather a too shocking experience to recount.
I suppose, but it seems odd anyway.
I agree. I'd certainly mention it, but I can't imagine how terrifying it was in the middle of the middle of the night.
If you start pointing out odd things, we'd be here all day.
Too true. Too true.
Once again, Mr. Ridley, I must stress that it may be advisable in future to spend less money on nerve tonics prior to embarking and more on an adequate camera.
Who has either history or anthropology?
I've got both.
The house.
For anthropology.
Sorry.
I would say anthropology is higher for me.
Cool.
70,
so from a historical point of view, the house itself is interesting in that it's been pretty much undisturbed for about 100 years, and so there is potentially something interesting about that if someone wanted to document that kind of stuff. From an anthropological point of view, there are decorations drawn from all over, mostly Europe, stretching into probably what we would consider Europe today, but at the time may not have been. So, like very, very Eastern Europe, northeastern, and southeastern. So potentially into bits of Turkey, and into bits of what today is Latvia, Lithuania. That whole stretch, there's like trophies and hangings and that kind of stuff, as well as some bits from Germany and France and that kind of stuff. So it's quite a range.
Alex McMahon must have had a very large suitcase.
So you kind of pick that up as you search that first floor.
I'll primarily be checking the floorboards to make sure nothing is rotted and is going to give way under people's feet.
Very
sensible one.
Very
When you say
sensible.
it's all these things from Europe, are we talking about art or books or?
There are artifacts of what everyone other than Stanley Chevix Norton would think of as being interesting anthropologically. Stanley Chevix Norton, with your deeper knowledge of anthropology, it's all very like surface level stuff. So not like tourist tat, but tourist tat. It's the kind of equivalent of like going to a culture and being like, "Hey, show me like how you live and what you do,"
What's
and
your
then
cultural heritage? And they're like, this?
yeah, this
As opposed to like, if you
I can
spend
sell
kind
you
of
this thing
a
that has no.
decade there and you find out about how, like,
Yeah, exactly. It's like I can sell you my washing stick for like a silly amount of money and tell you it's culturally significant rather than actually parting with my actually culturally significant stuff. So
You want a rug? I'll give you my rug.
Yeah, exactly. And it's stuff like, I'm trying to think of an example for England, but it would be like something that's like, oh, this person eats fish and chips every day, and it's like, oh, it's not really, but fine, whatever. That kind of
The problem with trying to
things.
think of an equivalent. The problem with trying to think of an equivalent for England is that we don't have culture, so it's
Yeah,
kind of
I haven't visited England as a foreigner, unfortunately.
We don't have who came and raided all our stuff because we were the ones usually doing the raiding.
Yeah, it's not.
Exactly.
Our national dress is the national dress of any other country, just done in a racist way.
Yeah. It's not quite on the level of I Heart NY t-shirts, but it's almost getting there.
I went to the deepest Wales of Transylvania, and all I got was this stupid T-shirt.
What would you like? There's
but fairly like standard grand tour bullshit then.
Yeah, exactly. The stairs continue to go up. Would you like to do anything else? You can spend some more time looking around the first floor.
The dust on the floor to suggest that our chap, our suspect, wandered through here because he did say he'd been pretty much everywhere.
The first floor is relatively undisturbed, as far as you can tell. Like, there's still things on the side, although they're things not of value. If someone did come through here, like, taking stuff, they were not, like, damaging about it. Like, the drawers are closed, but they may be empty. Yeah, but they didn't
As far as
smash
I'm aware,
stuff
there
after
wasn't
they
any
went through.
evidence he'd taken anything, though, was there?
There
How many
was.
floors does the-
Sorry, go on.
How many floors does the house have, as far as we could tell from outside?
You would guesstimate about 3.
I'd probably head once going through the main hall. I'd probably head through into the drawing room to see if there were any bits of paperwork that looked important, like perhaps a bill of ownership for the statue, or just sort of anything that might look like important documentation.
There is not a lot in here. In terms of a drawing room, like there's probably a chaise lounge and a cabinet. If you open the cabinet, it's mainly now empty booze bottles. There's not a whole lot else. Some smoking paraphernalia, that kind of thing.
If there's a bookshelf, I might see what kind of just the kind of briefly look over the titles that might be there or something like that. But obviously, if there isn't anything of interest, I'll probably pass over it relatively quickly.
Most of it looks like now very outdated guides to traveling Europe and maps and that kind of stuff. There's some general interest stuff as well. Nothing hugely jumps out.
Do you understand why Mr. McLeod felt the urge to sleep here? And he didn't just leave when he found nothing. Doesn't seem that big.
The weather may simply have been somewhat inclement outside. As far as I've
So
seen.
perhaps it might have been the comfortable-looking room upstairs. Perhaps, who knows?
Yeah, let's wait and see. But it's not my choice of bedroom, certainly.
Yes. Yeah. If there doesn't look like to be anything of interest in the drawing room, I probably I can't speak for anybody else, but I can't see much of interest here. Shall we proceed to the next floor?
Sure. As you go over... Sorry, go on. Did someone go say something? No, okay, fine, cool. As you go up to the second floor... Where's that map gone? The layout is roughly the same. One of the rooms is... let me grab this again. So the room above the drawing room is only accessible from those stairs that's nearest it. So you can go up either set of stairs. Let me just quickly dump this in so that you can see what I mean. Nope, don't do that.
Well, I think naturally, I don't know about anyone else. I'd certainly use the main stairs again to go up to the next room, and then upon finding the next, have a check out everything accessible by the main staircase.
Sure.
And then upon finding you can't reach the other room, then maybe go to it. But,
sure. Yeah. So as you go into the first kind of room that you come across on the second floor. That room, it looks like it was probably once a study. It's completely smashed and absolutely wrecked. There are some very old-looking books which have been torn to pieces. A large number of glass appears to have been smashed, and the contents thereof, both liquid and powder, are kind of like all over the place. There are some bones in amongst all of that.
Big bones, small bones.
Someone's thinking ahead.
Someone take a biology roll.
Kath, you have naturalist.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Would naturalist cover it?
Yeah.
I got biology.
Do it.
Dre.
Oh yeah, that's a pass on biology, baby.
That's me, Kath. Do you want to switch over to you? Wow. Don't know if it's a pass or not, but we just got exactly the same amount.
Yeah, right.
No, it's not for you, Kath. Yours is 21.
So yeah, I've passed biology.
Cool. They are human bones.
The actual destruction of the room Does this appear to have been an explosion or a person going around systematically destroying things?
There are no burns that you would expect from an explosion. It looks more like there was a fight, or some wild animals were in here, or it doesn't look systematic. It looks more random, but it's quite complete nonetheless.
Okay. In that case, you said that there was smashed glass and powder.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to be looking for any conspicuous absences. Either something that hasn't been touched by the destruction, or gaps where something has been removed.
Okay. Everyone can take a spot hidden if you're searching.
Hell yeah.
And upon realizing that they are human bones, I rather pale a little bit and say, Miss and chaps, I do believe these are human remains, which is rather grisly. I do apologise, Miss Ridley.
Crikey.
I think you've just passed.
That was a pass for me, Adam.
Cool.
Yeah, pass for me on spot hidden as well. 24 against
Just
60.
passed by 43 on her spot hidden.
Nice.
I
So
found that.
how many passes is that? 3?
One.
I believe so. Full house.
Oh, full house, 4 passes. Cool.
No,
No, that's
Oh, okay,
I rolled a
3.
95. I'm not passing anything with that.
No passes for you.
I think
Amongst the things that you all find is a notebook. It's got some staining on the cover, but otherwise looks in an okayish state. Everything else, all of the books were kind of ripped and torn, and almost all of them got water damage of some kind and have rotted. There is, what did you find else?
are the covers of the books readable?
Not especially. It looks like they're all they've been in this state for a long time. You'd guess maybe 100 years. And rot and mold has done a lot of damage to all of them.
Again, I'd like to see if I can check, just to see if any of the book titles seem to mean anything or have any significance, if they're even legible.
That's sort of what I was driving at with the covers.
Yeah. One of you is going to make me a check. Who? Pick one of you.
I don't know. Yeah, I think I might have got there first as I was investigating book titles earlier, maybe. So yes, that seems to be something. Bill likes books, so
Okay.
he probably would have gone right for that. Yeah.
Take me a luck check.
Oh, all right. Bloody hell. Oh, that is a big old fail.
No, none of the titles are legible.
Sad. 76.
Well-
Why did you do that to me? Does that mean I lose a luck now?
No.
Very presence.
Sorry, Kath, say again.
Looking around at the destruction, whether it's a ghost or not, it seems to have a very physical presence.
Yeah, jokingly, I'm rather a poltergeist, perhaps.
Could be.
Adam, I'd also like to check out that powder. I don't know if that's a chemistry check or something.
Yeah, you can take a chemistry check.
The age-old thing. Dip finger, taste gingerly.
Bloody. That's a fail on the chemistry check.
You You've got you've got some little vials of testing stuff, haven't you?
I'd probably try and gather some into a test tube or something,
Yeah.
or try and see if I can ascertain it or whatever.
Sure. You think that you do the normal kind of tests that you do, and they're pretty inconclusive. You know that any kind of tests that you would have done would rely on it being the powder of the substance. More than likely, what's happened is it's all got mixed up, and so you're getting positives from some tests and positives from others and negatives from others and stuff. And it's because you've probably got a mixture of a load of different things.
In which case, I don't know if the mechanics allow this, but I'd probably try it because I've got a more sort of full field test kit back at the hotel. So I'd probably just keep some in a test tube to maybe try and sift it later. But I don't know if that's allowed mechanically.
Yeah. I mean, you can collect some for further analysis if you want. Sure.
So yeah, I'd maybe hold on to it and see if I can do something with it later.
Cool. Yeah, you can file some up.
So I'm definitely going to have a look at that notebook.
Cool. So opening the notebook, it's handwritten. It's mostly indecipherable, and there's not really any kind of dates next to any of the entries. But after a little bit of reading, you're pretty sure that it is that it belongs to Alex McMahon. To get
So,
much more out of it, you need to sit down.
Illegible, incomprehensible.
It's really bad handwriting. So it takes you a little
Okay.
while to work out what it is that he's saying. Some bits are just completely illegible, but you can work out some bits.
You said there were bones in amongst the debris. Are we talking like one or two, or enough to be most of a skeleton?
It is probably enough a whole of a person.
Is
Interesting.
it? Does it look like it can complete one whole body, or does it look like it might be several bodies?
Perhaps it was part of a medical curio cabinet.
This is entirely
Could be.
possible.
Without going around and collecting them all, you wouldn't be sure, but it looks roughly about a person.
I'll
Sure.
have a look at one of the long bones, see if there's wires stuck on the end.
There are not.
Good
Would be
shout.
one way to tell if it was a specimen. Or a puppet.
Spooky.
Or Christmas tree ornamentation.
Halloween marionette got out of control.
The only bit that you manage to kind of decipher while you're kind of standing here, Mr. Shevix Norton, is a passage that reads, "All is going well. The common folk now I can't speak. The common folk now hate and fear me sufficiently to shun the house entirely. Douglas has finished planting the trees. My great experiment is about to begin."
I see, he was just antisocial.
He just hated the common folk like most of the upper class, excluding yourself, Miss Ridley.
The trees? What does that mean?
Maybe he was an avid nudist.
Was the house screened off by the trees outside? Am I right in remembering?
That's correct. There is a ring of very large, dark trees around the house.
Did he just want a bit of privacy, or is there more to it than that?
On the face of it, my assumption would be simply to obscure the windows of the house from prying eyes.
But trees don't grow overnight.
This is entirely true.
It's definitely some planning for the next generation rather than your own.
I wonder who this Yuba
Perhaps we-
is. After all, I mean, Douglas is, I'm sure,
Oh.
a 10 a penny around Inverness, but Yuba.
Sorry, I should have removed that. I've copy and pasted from the book. I managed to mentally edit out when I read it out. I've made some changes to the book. There we go.
Okay.
Douglas has finished planting the trees. Is the sentence that says. You saw nothing.
Perhaps
Ignore
we
the man
might,
behind the curtain.
Perhaps we might study the notebook more in depth at our leisure and continue with our investigation of this floor.
Don't
And then
think
I
anyone's going
probably
to
carry on
object if you
walking
take
towards
it.
the washroom and stuff.
Sorry, Kathy, didn't catch that.
I don't think anyone's here to object if you take it.
I'll slip it in my pocket.
Cool. What would you
Rather
like to
than
do
breast
now?
pocket, it's probably quite damp.
We still have one more floor to explore.
There was another flight, another section of the same floor with a different flight of stairs.
There is. Oh yeah. Did you want to go into the spare bedroom? There, the room in the other.
I
the room
guess,
from the other set of stairs or up further.
Shall we perhaps peruse the other stairwell after ascending the final floor, and rather than going up and down stairs all day long, we can do it in one fell movement.
Lead on.
We checked the mother.
Have you checked what? Sorry.
The washroom on the mentioned
You haven't. If you go in, there's not a lot there. It's some tubs which would have been used for washing and some other paraphernalia. There's not a lot else in there.
I suggest we ascend the main staircase and then come back to the secondary staircase once we've hit the final main floor.
Sure. So as you go up the steps to the third floor, you enter into a large room. Where's the thing? There is it's a storeroom, and there's some boxes. It looks like any of our parents' attics would do. There's boxes, there's clothes, there's storage of things like that. You can go into, assuming up is north on that map, the room in either the north west or the southeast.
We'll have a brief look over the boxes in case there's anything interesting in them beyond the remnants of occupation.
It would take you quite a long time to go through them all, but if you start opening some things, there's clothes, there's some crockery. It doesn't seem particularly interesting, but you can take a few hours to sit and go through that if you so desire.
No, I'll just look at a few for a quick sample for now.
Cool.
Yeah, I just take a cursory glance to see if any have been recently tampered with.
Not that you can tell.
Cool, I'd probably mostly ignore them then.
Which room are you going to? Top left or bottom right?
What do the clothes look like, actually?
They're appropriate for the period, and perhaps a little older, as if they maybe belonged to the generation before. There's nothing super weird about them. If there's, are you getting at something?
No, I was just
Anything that
kind of curious
looks
if this is
valuable?
more of Alex Moore and stuff that he's brought back from afar.
No, this looks like storage that's been used by the family that lived here for several generations. Sorry, Kath, what was your
anything
question?
particularly valuable looking?
Anything what, sorry?
Particularly valuable looking, just in the context that the suspect, sorry, McLeod, broke in there to have a look for stuff, but he hasn't seemed to have taken anything.
Treasure!
There's nothing that's like
Okay.
super valuable, but there's definitely like stuff that
He
you
could
would have thought
taken.
he would have taken. There's maybe some silver cutlery and stuff. That yeah, he probably would have taken.
Interesting.
I guess the next. I'd maybe just wander into the southeast room then, if
So
nobody else is leading the way.
the door to the southeast bedroom is barred. You can't just open it and walk it. It sounds like it feels like there's something against it the other side. You can try and force it if you like.
I guess I'd try and force it, but not. I'm not a strong man, so I maybe try and see if something gives easily. But
Take a strength check if you want to try and force it.
I'll assist with that if I can.
Yes, except I don't remember how the assist rules work. I guess
Come on, chap. Let's put
roll.
your shoulder in.
I'm gonna completely make this up. Roll as well, and if you pass, then it'll drop the difficulty for him.
Pretty sure.
Holy moly! I think I might just have passed.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, that's quite passed. Passed by 35.
Nice. Yeah. Together, then you absolutely smash it.
Double pass, baby.
Pass. Where are we? You pretty much break the door down. Inside you find another body. It's almost pretty much, it's near exclusively just bones at the moment, but it's in more of a cohesive, like someone died and then just rotted down, whereas in the other room the bones were scattered all over the place.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Can I?
Did Mr. McLeod say that there wasn't any part of the house he was unable to reach?
You did.
Take a biology or naturalist roll. Yeah, let's go.
I was about to ask if it
I don't have either of those, but Kath, if you
seemed
are
like
interested.
pass the biology roll by 54.
Nope.
Everyone can also take me a spot hidden, I guess, would be the most appropriate.
Okay, so mine first, or which
Oof,
should you want?
98.
Oof. Do you want to burn some luck?
Almost a critical fail.
Ooh.
Oh my god.
So massive pass for me.
Massive fail for me.
And yeah, massive fail for Kath, 94.
So
reverse earlier.
from the pass of the biology check, there's very little staining of the floorboards around the body, which suggests that the person didn't bleed out or anything like that. From the spot hidden, it kind of looks like this person barricaded themselves in, and then starved to death.
Other than the
From
body,
the biology check.
Sorry, Rich, go first.
Other than the body, is there anything else in the room?
It looks like a bedroom. There's a bed, and there's a bedside table. And there is a chest which looks like the kind of chest that you would take if you were traveling by sea on a ship.
I will have investigated the chest.
In the chest, there is some clothes, which look fairly normal. There is what's the word? Like a name tag, which reads Douglas.
Luggage label.
Yeah, luggage label. Thank you.
So we have our gardener.
And it seems that when they retired to this room, it was with no particular preparation, as I've not seen any evidence of foodstuffs or water.
Hoarding of toilet paper.
Topical humour.
There's not a lot else in here. It's fairly bare otherwise.
I might. I'm now rather annoyed at how thoroughly we destroyed the door, but I'd like to try and maybe see if there are any markings, or if there's any way I can tell on the outside of the door, the like hall facing of the door, that there are any marks on it that suggest someone trying to break in, as essentially trying
I
to see if there are any marks of of what was trying to break in that Douglas was trying to keep out.
No, there
What
isn't.
was the door barricaded with?
There was a what was the door barricaded with? It had just had the there was some wood like nailed across to the wall and then to the door, and the door opened inwards.
Yeah.
Before you broke it.
This isn't a Big Lebowski style barricade, I see.
Oh yeah, it's not like a piles and piles and piles and piles. It was a couple of slats of wood nailed across it.
Perhaps we should pay some
Another step
attention to
up,
the
let's
opposite
look
side of
together.
the house. Leave this poor fellow to his rest.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I agree.
Sorry, Nick. What were you saying?
No, sorry. After you rushed.
I think Rit's finished. We're having a few issues with delay. Is what's causing people to speak over each other, which is fine. Rich, did you finish?
So
I did, yes. It's not fine. I'm deeply offended by all these interruptions.
Go on, Nick.
So sorry. I because of the overlap, I couldn't hear what Rich said.
We'll go have a look at the other side.
All right. Yeah, that's basically what I was saying as well.
Cool. Sweet. So as you go over to the other bedroom, the other bedroom is at one point was a bedroom. There's a bed pushed up against the side, but now it contains not a shrine, but there's like a lot of the material that's been collected from all over Europe in here. A lot of this stuff is atypical of most of what's been documented about the various cultures. When I said it's not a shrine, it's because the things are kind of collected together rather than being like a decoration around the room. There's a few different bits that are like atop what was a nightstand. There is a knife, which looks like a very ritualized, very designed knife. There are a few bundles of herbs. There is a stick. What's it called? Like a doll that's made out of bundled sticks. A few other little bits and pieces like that.
these poor souls were left to lie here, unclaimed and unburied.
I can see to them. We've waited long enough, so I won't mind a few minutes more. Can I roll to see if I know anything about this, all this stuff in this curio room
Yeah, you can take me an
with my
anthropology check.
occult, or anthropology actually?
Whichever.
I'll go for anthropology because I've got way more of it.
Cool.
Oh yeah, I passed by 35.
So most of the bits and pieces are, excuse me, burp, are similar to how the statue on the stairs was like kind of classical, but with a twist. Most of the stuff is similar to that. Like it's the doll that's the bundles of sticks is quite a common tradition from all over parts of the world. But the way that this is done is from using uses quite a rare plant to twine it around, and obviously has some ritual significance, and potentially would have been relatively hard or expensive to create. And these kind of dolls are traditionally like made by children, and are like dime a dozen, for want of a better term. Similarly, the knife has designs carved on it that are not really anything you recognize, but otherwise it's made in a style that is um, found in Europe. There's nothing unusual about the way it's been made, that kind of thing.
Would an occult roll reveal anything more about the knife, or would it simply be what Mr. Shevman's note?
I don't think you can get any more information out of them, to be honest.
No, that's fine. What
Yeah.
exactly is the knife made out of? Does it look like steel, or does it look like some other metal?
It is it's metal, and with a like like a horn handle, like a deer horn handle.
So it's not as if it's made out of I don't know, silver or gold or some other
No. Again,
thing
it's
that would stand out.
no, absolutely not. The way it's made is quite traditional.
It looks like.
Go on.
No, what were you about to say?
No, go on, please.
Well, I was only going to say, if everybody was done, it looks like this. We can take the stairs down into the other bedroom that we haven't been to yet. But that's, yeah, that was only if there was nothing else going on.
You can do, yes.
The map has a battlement labeled. Is that something we can get out onto?
Yeah, you can step out onto there. It looks like battlement's actually a very grand term for what it is. It's more likely an access for the roof, like maintenance for the roofs and stuff. It probably would have. The whole house has been built, as I mentioned the first time you saw it, in a very castle-y fashion, and would have been designed for use as defense originally, but certainly more recently these would have been used as access for maintenance to the roof and stuff.
Can I see the trees that were mentioned earlier from looking out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So the dark barked trees circle the whole of the building. They are very evenly spaced all around. No, no one really recognizes them. They're certainly not native to this area. And you could take me a biology check as well, actually.
I was going to say I'd probably take a biology check on the way out to check them properly, but
So,
yeah.
naturalist okay for that?
Yeah. I should probably look.
Oh, that's a big pass on the biology.
And that is a pass from the naturalist, I believe.
Cool.
Pass by 6. Yes, do take that down. So that's science naturalist, yeah.
Oh yes, if you're passing skills, do take them. I always forget
It
to
doesn't
remind
say
people
that
to
on
do
mine.
Sorry, what?
if you pass a skill, there's a little checkbox to the left of them. Check that.
The file seems to be set as stubbornly read-only. It'll let me tick them, but then it won't save any of them.
Oh, that's annoying. Just make a
So
note
I've
of
made
them
a note,
somewhere.
but I don't know what we had in previous sessions, unfortunately.
That's fine. It's fine.
Do you check that box every time?
The first time per scenario that you pass.
Cool.
I believe it's to do with when we come to level up between games, it's the skills that we've used that we can level up, potentially.
Level up is a very strong term for it, but yes. Cool. So from the passes, you know that if these trees were obtained from Europe, they are not documented in anything that you've read. Additionally, if they were planted here only 100 years ago, they were either brought over as small trees, or they've grown incredibly quickly.
The curse of the Leylandii. This is why the family was shunned in the village.
Now, am I right in remembering that Morn he travelled to escape the war? Where did he travel?
Mainly Europe. He intended to go. He intended to travel mainly to the main parts of Europe, France, Germany, Holland, that kind of stuff. And because of the war, he was forced to travel slightly further afield.
He wasn't exclusively travelling in a forest. That's me getting this mixed up with the plot of The House with the Clock in the Walls.
He didn't exclusively travel through forests, no. But he certainly did have to go off the beaten track.
Perhaps if you are taking samples, I might suggest sampling some of the arboreal barrier as well.
Most definitely. That was the next thing on my list, was to take a bit of bark and a couple of cuttings.
I don't understand what it would have to do with a murder, but I bow to your knowledge.
It was sufficiently noteworthy to be recorded in the diary.
It's probably getting to early evening.
I believe we had one final bedroom to visit.
Yes, let's look at it before the dark. I'm all up for a bit of spooky atmosphere, but I think that's a bit much.
As you go down the stairs to the last bedroom, it looks like a fairly typical bedroom. It may well have been the master bedroom, slightly nicer furnished, but there's nothing else really strange here. There's a wardrobe with some clothes in the style that you'd expect from that time period, that kind of thing.
Again, I might give it a look to see if there's any paperwork of note. I'm determined to find out who this bloody house belongs to, and that's all I'm looking for right now. Is just any deeds of ownership, any receipts of anything, or when the statue was bought, or anything like that.
Sure. There's nothing that's in any readable state. It looks like there was a Bible that was in the bedside table, which is like completely rotted away. It's now just a slump of mulch.
Interesting that a Bible resided in a house with such a satanic image, don't you
Like
think?
the taste.
You can't, to be clear, you can't read the cover of it because there isn't a cover anymore. It is just a pile of mulch, but it's where a Bible.
No,
would
of course,
be in
but
the,
yeah.
yeah.
If it looks to me like a Bible, I'm going to assume it's a Bible. It's the 1920s.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's fine.
Yeah.
I didn't want you to get fixated on something I hadn't said. That's fine. Cool. What would you like to do now?
If we're heading out, I want to look again at the statue as we're leaving. I'm trying to get an idea as to why somebody, presumably somebody of moderately sound mind, would have just turned around and noped out of there as soon as they saw it.
It is pretty intimidating. Take a. What kind of check? Take an idea roll, which is intelligence.
Okay.
Everyone can if they like.
That will be a pass by 25 for me.
Cool.
Big pass for me too.
Cool. Everyone who passes remembers that when the person who was murdered was walking around here, it was nighttime. And if that figure had been, if he'd spotted the figure, he could have either assumed it was actually a person or just been so terrified by this visage in the middle of the night, just been so spooked as to leave.
Yeah,
Was
a
Donald
detailed enough
McCall.
statue to look sufficiently spoopy.
Yeah.
Yes, as the evening draws on, ladies and gentlemen, shall we perhaps make our leave, proceed back to the hotel?
I think that's a good idea.
Cool.
Things are getting a little spooky, so I'm gonna
Spooky.
grab some cuttings and things off the tree. A couple of scrapings of bark, a couple of leaf things that I want to press and try and identify, etc.
Cool. Take me a luck check.
Big pass.
Cool. You take some cuttings from the tree. What would you all like to do next?
I will go and start up the car in anticipation of people wanting to return.
Cool. And you're all heading back to the hotel for the evening?
Unless anyone has any other suggestions, then I will take us back to our accommodation.
Back in Inverness, yep.
Back into
Yes, I was
gonna
Inverness,
say,
or are you
oh,
staying in the?
right, just-
Are you staying in the hotel in the town? It is an hour's drive back to Inverness. It's totally up to you guys.
to my recollection, we left the majority of our luggage in Inverness.
But I did bring enough to stay overnight in case we needed to.
Yep.
For exactly this reason, because I am best butler.
But you didn't bring enough for everyone.
Spare pants
Would
for
you folks
all.
like to stay? I say, are we heading back to Inverness or are we residing in the village tonight?
Well, I, for one, would like to speak to Mr. McLeod again. There's several questions raised by what we've seen in the house today. But that could always be done later.
Would wonder whether the police would be willing to let us see him this late at night.
Yes, I'm not suggesting now, but
I would personally prefer to go to Inverness. That's where the rest of my lab equipment is, and there is a larger library in order to be able to try and find where this tree may be from.
That sounds like a good plan to me. I can have a crack at making out this terrible handwriting in the car.
Very well. After probably the usual little dance over who gets to drive.
you win this round.
We never know.
Cool. You all drive back to Inverness. Mrs. Shevix Norton, it's too dark really in the car to try and read, especially as it's bumping around. But
Oh.
when you get back,
Get a little queasy and just give it a rest.
exactly.
Dude, life skill of 60. This is a smooth ride.
Oh, okay.
Can I
I'm
get
sorry.
my
I'm very sorry. I don't mean to deride your very nice car in any way. Apologies.
The
What-
world's softest suspension.
What would everyone like to spend the evening before they retire doing?
I probably diddle around.
Sorry. Chris, you go first.
Because I'm assuming the library's closed, so
Yes.
I will pretty much retire to my room straight away to diddle around with my lab equipment and try and identify the powder, all the properties of, and identify the tree, all the properties of.
Okay. Which one would you like to do? You probably only have time to do thorough tests on one.
I'd probably go with the powder then and wait to use the library to try and identify the tree.
Cool. Take me a chemistry roll. Miss Ridley and Mr. Rummage, what are you two doing?
I'll probably try and inveigle myself with Mr. Chevenix Norton and see if he wants any help deciphering bad handwriting. But if I'm not wanted, I won't, so I won't force the issue.
And I will be on hand because
Yeah,
you'll be clean boots. Because we'll have got all sorts of terrible dust on them.
Oh, yeah. Corpse dust.
Mm.
Cool.
I'll
Mr. Chevenix
try and unhitch some of the staples in the notebook so I can share out some of the pages to Miss Ridley.
Sure. So the bits that you managed to decipher between the two of you are the following. I am feeding them as the shaman told me. They are growing strong and their hunger increases. All is well.
Narrator
Starts making
or
sourdough, hasn't it?
The idiots in the village came bringing Christmas gifts, as they say it is customary. 'Twas fortunate there was nothing hanging in the storeroom. And the next bit you get is, no one in Edinburgh seems to have knowledge of the tombs I seek. I am loath to seek further afield, as I need much gold to buy food for my pets. Yet 'twould be as well to have more knowledge before they are fully grown. What shall I do, I wonder? Then the next bit that you can make out is, that scum Lennox sought to cheat me. The corpses were fresh and unhung. Good fortune that I had the sense to keep back some of the contents of the crypt. My pets seem particularly fond of Mother. Perhaps they can somehow tell who it is they eat. And the next bit. I am running short of gold, and the things are still not full grown. I have tried to get them to sleep as I saw in the city of Taguarl, but they hunger still. Soon I will have no choice but to feed them sheep. And then the last bit you can make out is the very last entry, which says, today they tasted blood for the first time. I must now trust to God, but I have forgotten how. At least if I die, the foolish villagers will not come here for many years, and the things will as like perish of hunger. Yet they should be full grown by now. Why will they not sleep? Why? Why? Which I'll paste in the chat so that you have a record of all of that.
Thank you. So the city he mentioned, does that ring a bell? Is it a place that I've ever heard of?
What would be an appropriate check for? Maybe history?
Sure. Ooh, 8. Nice. Big pass.
Nice.
You are very sure that that has literally never been mentioned in any of the histories of Europe that you've ever read.
Oh. If this gentleman had purchased or otherwise acquired some exotic species on his travel and brought it back here for his estate and been maintaining it, following his death, possibly by such animals escaping, it would be possible, it would be in the local area, surviving and breeding, living, as he states, off sheep, until disturbed by something entering its territory.
It does somewhat sound that way.
It would be useful to determine which countries he visited and consult an almanac of those nations as to what manner of exotic fauna he might have brought.
But he may have met a trader somewhere.
Running loose in the woods. If there are these beasts running loose in the woods, surely we would have at least heard reports from poachers, if not just have picked up on just local folklore, there's bound to be stories of mysterious kind of beasts or spirits in the forest that nobody knows how to account for. That could well just be some family of pets that McMahon had brought back with him and
I learned a lot
got
from
out
that
and
intro, and she
got
didn't
out of
mention
the woods.
institutions.
But I would hazard, as we are north of the border, any such tales may have just faded into the general background of superstition.
You'd think something that wouldn't just stay hungry for 100 years, though. You'd think it would come out and find prey.
It was merely
Hang about, you're suggesting that it's the same beast. Surely
Well,
there would just be point 4 generations on, depending on how long they live. Who knows?
They've been left unattended for some time.
perhaps something has changed in the local environment. The farming practices have changed, altered their supply of food.
So, he said something about these things sleeping, so maybe they were in some kind of torpor. I don't know. I'm not much of a naturalist myself, but what could have caused the injuries that were responsible for the unfortunate demise of Mr. McCall? It didn't look like a bite or. It drinks blood, some kind of bat. What drinks blood?
Both of you take a luck check for me.
Both as in who?
The 2 people examining the notebook.
So that would be you,
Yeah, yep.
30,
Uh,
your
oof.
luck is
No, wait.
60.
19. Yeah, I'm good.
Both passed. How much did you pass
Mhm.
by?
Calf passed by 30.
Whatever 32 minus 19 is. It's, maths. 13? No, I can't do maths anymore.
Kath passed by 30, was that?
30 out of 60.
30. Did you pass by more or less than 30?
Less.
Okay, so as you are examining the bits of paper, a small slip of paper falls out, which looks like this, as long as I can select the right tab, which reads, Nihak Thorhag Niathi ist he Gahan Gehanthio. And as you instinctively pick that up and read it, take me a sanity check.
Which
win
of us, sorry?
prizes.
Sorry, say again?
I win
Who's making
prizes.
the sound check, sorry?
Nick, that's you making a sanity check.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
27. I'm alright.
Alright, you're fine.
Your prize is not reading.
Chris, William Thatcher, how did you do on your chemistry check?
Yeah, passed by 40.
Cool. You spend the evening managing to isolate some of the powder from other things that you managed to identify. So there's some iron filings. You managed to dry out some stuff and get off the residue from what was maybe
Get rid of the contaminants.
Yeah, exactly. And you slowly tick things off. Most fairly common alchemical ingredients. You are left with a powder that you're still unable to identify.
So the unidentifiable leftovers. Is it? Can I identify whether it's like acid or alkaline, or
So it is.
how deep does it? Yeah, because I don't know how deep I can go in the 1920s as well.
Yeah, no, sure, yeah. It's a black sand, that, or like sandy type thing, but it's like pitch black, and it's pretty inert to most things that you try. When you light it, it burns, like holds a flame. The color of that flame shifts as if it was a mixture of different metals that you were burning. But you're pretty sure it's not, that it is a uniform thing that you're burning. But otherwise, pretty much every other test that you do just has no real effect.
And as you say, I've already removed things like iron filings, so I'm assuming any of the remnants are not magnetic.
They do not react to magnetism, correct? You try putting them in acids, you try putting them in strong alkalis, you try mixing them with things, like nothing else has any effect on them.
Cool, yeah, I definitely spend the rest of the evening until the early hours of the morning doing all of this because I'm absolutely fucking fascinated.
Yeah,
so I won't see
cool.
anybody until the morning.
Cool. At that point, it's getting very
I think
late.
I might notice that Bill has been hauled away, so I might just. If it gets to sort of fairly late at night before anyone's seen him, I might just take him up a cup of coffee.
Okay, cool. Is anyone doing anything other than going to sleep? Anything other than going to sleep? Yeah, that does make sense. You're fine, Adam. Trust yourself. Carry on. What's everyone doing?
You know grammar. You're all over this.
With your permission, Mr.
So,
Ripley,
I made
in the
the
morning,
sanity check.
Veil
Reading that,
Sorry,
even
guys.
though I passed, am I where?
Go on, Nick.
Sorry. When I read that scrap of paper and made the sanity check, even though I passed, was I still aware that there was something kind of off about it?
Other than it being,
Picked up on that.
other than it being like weird and you don't know what it says, no, you don't get like, oh, a rush of cold shoot through you, or like lightning strikes at that time, or anything like that. Rich, sorry, what were you trying to say?
Well, I should have rethought slightly. If I may to inquire, Mr. Ridley, what it is that our agenda for tomorrow?
I don't know. I'm open to suggestions. I know I would like to speak to Mr. McLeod, but I imagine he's not going anywhere in a hurry.
In that case, I will prepare us for remaining around Inverness unless you inform me otherwise. And I'll retire to bed at that.
Thank you, Mr. Rummage.
And he's thinking too many in his head.
Is anyone staying up all night doing anything, or is everyone going to sleep?
Sleepy.
No,
Out of character, I'm now terrified that I've got some of this tree in my room, knowing whatever was written about. Because my character doesn't know what was in that diary, and now I'm terrified that this tree is going to come alive out of character.
I've translated the inscription. It says, "I am Groot." Oh shit.
Never Landy,
Can everyone take me listen checks, please?
Okay, so whose character sheet do I have open? Mine first.
Can everyone what, sorry?
Listen checks, please.
And Cass. So I pass by 50. I don't think Cass has gone past it. Yeah, Cass fails.
Obviously, don't judge.
What's the listen check matched against?
It's an investigator skill.
Yeah, you should have a listen skill.
Big fail from me. I'm snoring like a son of a bitch.
Right, hands up who passed.
Me.
Just the one. Okay, cool. Everyone other than Mr. Rummage sleeps soundly through the night. Mr. Rummage, you are woken in the dark of the night by an unearthly howl coming from not far outside the village.
We'll go to the window and look out. Is there anyone else looking out at the same time?
You can see a couple of other lights that are on in a few of the other buildings that wouldn't normally, you assume.
And I'm assuming that the howl was not something I could easily recognise.
Correct.
We'll make sure that the shutters are secured.
Mm-hmm.
How far through the night was this?
It's very late. If you check, you'd be able to go. There's probably a clock in the room. It's maybe like 2-3 in the morning.
I'll stay up for a good couple of hours, I think, after that's happened, and see if it's repeated. Listening out for anything else.
It's not repeated, and slowly the sun starts to rise. We will probably call it there, I think, is maybe sensible. Yeah. Because we'd only be able to run for another 15 minutes or so. And that's a nice place to stop.
I think
Cool.
in the morning I'll be looking for a gunsmith's in town.
Cool. Yeah, we'll have a quick chat once I've stopped the stream about when we can roll next. But thank you everyone for playing, and thank you everyone for watching. I didn't actually get a chance to flick over and look at all the comments that you've put in the chat there. But hey guys, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you all soon. Bye. How do I click